Welcome to another episode. It's Brian Kimathi here, and today I want to talk about something that's been eating at me since I published this newsletter piece on the cybersecurity polls. I've been caught up solving the exact issue I addressed, that it feels like the stories write themselves. By the way, you might want to go and subscribe to the newsletter and read all of them too. Some important real life nuggets are contained there. Anyway, the response has been incredible since I wrote the edition. I appreciate you all who reached out, but I still think we're missing the bigger picture here. Kenyan banks are spending between 19 million and 600 million shillings annually on cybersecurity, while remaining deeply vulnerable to attacks. But the more I think about it, the more I realize this isn't just a Kenyan problem. This is happening everywhere. Worldwide, organizations are throwing massive budgets at cybersecurity and still getting breached. Well, most don't take cybersec seriously. But here I am talking about those who splash the money. We have Fortune 500 companies with hundreds million dollar security budgets that can't stop a basic phishing attack. We have government agencies with unlimited resources that lose sensitive data to 17-year-old hackers. The fundamental issue I raised in my newsletter applies globally. We're trying to solve a people problem with money, and it's not working anywhere. Today, I want to go deeper into why this is happening, what it means for cybersecurity professionals around the world, and why, if you're thinking about getting into this field, you need to understand that you're not just choosing a career, you're becoming part of critical global infrastructure. Let me start with a question that should keep every CEO awake at night. If money could buy security, why are the richest organizations in the world still getting hacked? When I looked at those Kenyan banking numbers, my first thought was shock. 600 million shillings seemed like an enormous amount for cybersecurity. But then I started researching what organizations worldwide are spending. JP Morgan Chase spends over $15 billion annually on technology, with a significant portion going to cybersecurity. Bank of America allocates more than $3 billion. These are not small numbers, these are GDP level budgets for some countries. And yet these same institutions regularly appear in breach reports. In 2019, Capital One had a breach affecting over 100 million customers despite spending billions on security. Equifax, a company whose entire business model depends on data security, lost personal information of almost half the United States population. Similarly, in 2021, South Africa's Experian subsidiary suffered a major data breach that exposed the personal information of 24 million South Africans and 793,749 business entities, demonstrating that even established credit bureaus with robust security investments remain vulnerable to sophisticated attacks. The pattern is clear everywhere you look: high spending, persistent vulnerabilities. Here is what I think is happening. Organizations approach cybersecurity like they approach other business problems. Need better manufacturing, buy better machines, need faster delivery, buy more trucks, need better security, buy more security products. But cybersecurity is fundamentally different. It's not about having the best tools. It is about having people who understand how attackers think, how systems interact, how to respond when something goes wrong. I learned, this lesson early in my career. I was working with an organization that had just purchased a state-of-the-art security information and event management system, the kind of system that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars and promises to detect any suspicious activity. 3 months after installation, they had a major breach. The CM system had been generating alerts for weeks, but nobody knew how to interpret them. The alerts were there, the data was there, the technology worked perfectly, but without someone who understood what they were looking at, it was just expensive noise. This happens constantly. Organizations buy advanced threat detection systems and then hire junior analysts to monitor them. They purchase sophisticated penetration testing tools and hand them to people who've never conducted a real security assessment. They implement complex compliance frameworks without anyone who understands why those controls exist. The result is what security professionals call security theater. It looks impressive, it costs a lot of money, but it doesn't actually make anyone safer. Now, you might think this is just a training problem. Hire people and train them, right? But that brings us to the real issue. There simply aren't enough people to hire. The numbers I shared about Kenya needing 25 times more security professionals than we currently have is not really unique to Kenya. That is the global reality right now. ISC2, the organization behind the ISSP certification, releases an annual cybersecurity workforce study. Their latest findings are staggering. Last year, in 2024, the total workforce needed to satisfy demand was 10.2 million people globally, which was an increase of 8.1% from the previous year. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire populations of more than 100 countries. We need to find and train 10 million qualified cybersecurity professionals just to meet current demand. And demand is growing every day. The United States alone has a shortage of over 3 million cybersecurity workers. Europe needs more than 2 million. Asia Pacific is short by over 2 million. Every region, every country, every sector is struggling with the same problem. But here's where it gets interesting. The shortage isn't evenly distributed across all cybersecurity roles. We have plenty of people who can install antivirus software or configure basic firewalls. The shortage is in specialized skills that require years of experience to develop. Incident response specialists who can coordinate during a major breach. Security architects who can design systems that are both functional and secure. Threat hunters who can identify advanced persistent threats. Risk analysts who can translate technical vulnerabilities into business language. These are the roles that make the difference between having security tools and having actual security. And these are exactly the roles that are impossible to fill. And I see this constantly in my consulting work. That organizations will have dozens of junior security analysts, but struggle to find even one senior professional who can provide direction and mentorship. It's like having a hospital full of medical students, but no experienced doctors. The education pipeline makes this worse. Universities are producing cybersecurity graduates, but most lack practical experience. They can tell you about encryption algorithms, but they've never responded to a real incident. They understand security frameworks in theory, but they've never implemented them in a complex enterprise environment. I've been lecturing and I am playing my role in fixing this. I hope others do the same too. What this does is that it creates a vicious cycle. Organizations need experienced professionals to train junior staff, but there aren't enough experienced professionals to go around. So junior staff struggle to develop practical skills and many leave the field entirely. Meanwhile, the few experienced professionals that exist are being poached constantly. I've been in virtual meetings with security directors who got recruited multiple times per month. The compensation wars are intense, especially in markets like Singapore, London, and San Francisco. But here's what really concerns me. Even if we could somehow train 4.8 million new cybersecurity professionals tomorrow, I'm not sure it would solve the fundamental problem. This might sound contradictory coming from someone who just spent several minutes talking about talent shortages, but I think we need to question whether simply having more cybersecurity professionals is the answer. Let me explain what I mean. The cybersecurity industry has grown incredibly rapidly over the past 2 decades. We've gone from security being an afterthought handled by system administrators to having dedicated teams, specialized roles, and billion-dollar budgets. But during this same period, the number and severity of cyber attacks has also increased, and it has increased dramatically. To be specific, we are not becoming more secure as an industry. In many ways, we are becoming less secure despite having more security professionals than ever before. I think there are a few reasons for this. First, the threat landscape is evolving faster than our defenses. I know this is a cliche by now, but hear me. Attackers are using artificial intelligence, machine learning, and automation to scale their operations. They're sharing techniques, tools, and intelligence across global networks. Meanwhile, most cybersecurity teams are still operating like it's 2005. They're manually reviewing alerts, using reactive approaches, and working in isolation from other organizations facing similar threats. Most people do not actually believe that most cybersecurity teams do things manually. This makes me question whether we are working from unrealistic assumptions about security effectiveness or simply lack sufficient real-world exposure to understand the true scale of the problem. Second, we have created a cybersecurity industry that is more focused on selling products than solving problems. Walk through any security conference and you will see hundreds of vendors promising to solve all your security challenges with their latest platform or solution. This creates a mindset where organizations think security is something you purchase rather than something you practice. It reinforces the idea that if you just buy enough security products, you'll be secure. Third, we've made cybersecurity incredibly complex. The average enterprise uses over 70 different security tools. Security teams spend more time managing their tools than actually securing their organizations. This complexity doesn't just make things harder for defenders, but it also creates more opportunities for attackers. More tools mean more configurations that can be wrong, more integrations that can fail, more places where things can go wrong. In short, the attack surface increases. So what's the answer? I think we need to fundamentally rethink how we approach cybersecurity. Instead of asking how we can hire more people or buy more tools, we should be asking how we can work smarter. Over the years, I've worked with organizations that were genuinely secure, despite having smaller budgets and fewer people than their peers. What made them different wasn't their technology or their team size, it was their approach. And actually, it is always about the approach, to be honest. First, they focused on fundamentals. Before implementing advanced threat detection, they made sure they had basic hygiene in place. Regular patching, proper access controls, employee training, incident response procedures. These aren't exciting at all, but they prevent most attacks. These are also more cliches that are so common, I think we take them for granted. Recently, a fintech company had been pushing to implement AI-based threat detection. During our assessment, we found that over 60% of their servers hadn't been patched in more than 6 months. No AI system in the world can protect you if your basic security posture is broken. Do not fear downtime. Have redundancies and do the damn patching. Second, they treated cybersecurity as a business function, not a technical function. I need you to listen to this keenly. Their security teams worked closely with business units to understand what actually needed protection and why. They could articulate security risks in business terms and make decisions based on actual impact rather than theoretical threats. Third, they invested heavily in automation and process improvement. Instead of hiring more analysts to review more alerts, they automated routine tasks and focused human expertise on complex problems that actually required human judgment. This is where I see the future of cybersecurity. Not in having thousands more security analysts doing manual work, but in having fewer, more skilled professionals using better tools and processes to achieve better outcomes. But here's the key insight. All of these approaches require experienced professionals who understand both the technical and business aspects of cybersecurity. You can't automate what you don't understand. You can't collaborate effectively if you don't know what's worth sharing. You can't focus on fundamentals if you don't know which fundamentals actually matter. This brings me back to the talent issue, but with a different perspective. We don't just need more cybersecurity professionals. We need better cybersecurity professionals. And we need to create career paths that develop the kind of expertise that actually makes organizations more secure. For those already working in cybersecurity or thinking about entering the field, this global talent crisis represents an incredible opportunity. But you need to approach it strategically. The demand for cybersecurity professionals isn't going away. If anything, it's accelerating. Every organization that goes digital creates new security requirements. Every new technology introduces new vulnerabilities. Every cyber attack makes the business case for a security investment stronger. But not all cybersecurity roles are created equal. The market is saturated with junior analysts who can monitor dashboards and follow predefined procedures. The shortage is in professionals who can think strategically, solve complex problems, and bridge the gap between technical capabilities and business requirements. If you want to build a career that is both secure and well compensated, focus on developing these higher level skills. Learn how to conduct risk assessments that actually inform business decisions. Understand how to design security architectures that support business objectives rather than hindering them. Develop expertise in emerging areas like cloud security, IoT security, or AI security. Most importantly, learn how to communicate with non-technical stakeholders. The most valuable cybersecurity professionals are those who can translate technical risks into business language and help organizations make informed decisions about security investments. For organizations listening to this, recognize that your cybersecurity challenge isn't just about budget allocation. It's about talent development, process improvement, and strategic thinking. The organizations that figure this out won't just be more secure. They'll have a significant competitive advantage in an increasingly digital world. Let me leave you with this thought. The cybersecurity industry is at an inflection point. We can continue down the path of throwing more money and more people at security problems, or we can start thinking differently about what security actually means. The organizations and professionals who figure this out first will shape the future of cybersecurity. They will build more resilient systems, develop more effective security practices, and create more sustainable career paths for security professionals. Every innovation, every new service, every improvement in how we work and live depends on having trustworthy digital systems. And that depends on having people who know how to secure them. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can find me at all these places on the screen. Reach out, share your experiences, challenge my assumptions, tell me what you're seeing in your part of the world. And if you like this kind of content, share this with someone, or like or subscribe, or even better, do them all. It shows support. Until next time, remember that cybersecurity isn't about having perfect defenses. It's about being prepared, staying informed, and continuously improving. Thanks for listening.